All right. Hello. I think we are live. Hopefully. I do see someone said they love
Great.
pieces, but that was 30 minutes ago. So I don't know if David, if you're still here or not. But um, anyways, I am here with Hannah. Hannah, I don't know if you have the comments open. I forgot to tell you before we started, but you can open the comments on the left and on the right side of the screen.
Yep.
But anyway, I am Ellie. I'm a developer advocate at Pieces, and this is the first episode of the Missing Pieces. I am very excited to be here today with Hannah. Oh, she's over here, I think. She's going to tell us all about SEO and her journey and all these crazy things that we don't know about and we don't see on a resume. That's why this series is called The Missing Pieces. We want to know what the missing pieces are that you never hear on LinkedIn when they do the 5 years ago, I started in devtools, and then crazy things happen, but maybe they don't tell you all the details. So we're going to find out those details from Hannah today. Hannah, can you introduce yourself really quick?
Sure. So, hey everyone, my name is Hanna, and I have joined Pieces as a head of SEO. Yeah, it's been quite a journey so far. I think I've joined Pieces around 6 months ago, and it's been fun. It's been challenging, uh, interesting. People with a different background. I'm coming a bit with a non-technical background, so it's been a very fascinating journey so far.
Yeah, I think you are right. You probably joined about 6 months ago. It was
Yeah.
cool when you joined. I remember that. Because I don't think prior to you joining we had someone that was like just focused on SEO. I don't know, maybe there was, but yeah, it was really cool to see kind of how the blog changed since you joined and how much like intent and focus was put on it. And sort of the I guess you'll get into it in a bit, but it's really cool to see your process when you're thinking like, oh, what topic should we write about and how is that going to be for people reading, because I might think something is really cool, like I would love to write an article all about cats and how cats increase your productivity, but maybe that is not what the people want on
Yeah.
the internet.
Well, once it actually happened when Ellie wrote one article, we immediately started ranking for the combination of keywords with the cats. So it was
I love that.
fun. Yeah, so it was definitely the part where okay, apparently Google together with other social media channels already knew that you loved cats. So
Right, I
MCP,
want to rank for cats.
yeah, we can do that.
And also, I see a couple people are in here. We have LinkedIn user. I don't know who you are, but welcome, LinkedIn user. I see Rael is here. Sudhansu is here. David maybe is here. I don't know if David, you're here anymore. Mai, you're here. Welcome. Everybody who's here, please say hi. And just in case you missed the intro, Hannah is the head of SEO. So if you have any questions about SEO throughout the entire stream, you can drop them in the chat and we will answer them immediately. Like we'll drop everything. And if you have any questions about cats, you can ask me and I'll be here for that. But anyway, I'm going to get into this. I really want to know, how did you even get into SEO? Like starting from the very beginning where you sort of had an inkling of maybe this tech thing is interesting to you. Where did that begin?
Yeah, well, I love this question because I love this question because it's also very honest, and the next response is also going to be honest. Well, I didn't start as an SEO specialist. That's something that evolved over time. So initially, I started as a teacher of English, and I was leading corporate English classes at the company. And then I thought, okay, well, that's something that I still love doing, but I needed something more than that. I liked writing, but I also liked all the design elements, everything connected with the website and how it just looks together in the system. So that's how SEO started coming into the picture. I became a content manager, and the company where I worked for had a heavy focus on SEO. I learned it there through mistakes. Through mistakes. That's how the first time I started getting to know about it. So, yeah, that has been just the path. It was never like intentionally planned. It just something that evolved over, chronologically, right? Just how you meet people, whom you meet, with whom you talk to, and I started trying doing that. I did a few courses on Ahrefs. I was reading a lot. I spent months maybe reading, and I tested and I tried. And it was fun. I liked that. It wasn't definitely without mistakes, but then I realized that I was a little bit better at it over time. And that's how it helped me later to land my first job, like with a more SEO focus. And over some time, here I am.
Very cool. I did ask you to be here today because I knew that you didn't have like the, oh, I want to be a developer, so I'm going to go get a CS degree and I have been coding since I'm 11 type of story, which those stories are cool, but I feel like not relatable to most people.
Yeah.
Most people have not been, dreaming about SEO since they were 11.
Yeah, that would be a little bit an interesting case, but no, I was never the kid who was like, oh, I want to become this when I grow up. Well, maybe when you were a child, you dream of some things of whom you want to become when you grow up. But then, I don't know, it was just a set of skills that I had because I finished philological department in university where I learned a lot about linguistics and languages. So it was just, a strong foundation that helped me to feel more comfortable over the next course of careers that I chose. And then, I don't know, it was just happening. I was just trying. And if I didn't like something, I would just stop that and try something else. So it was just very ambitious period of my time when like, okay, it's just not going to happen if I don't like that. So I just tried a lot and I failed a lot and then worked and learned a lot.
Yeah, I guess it's a process of trial and error. I do think a lot of people get to their sort of ultimate career, or at least, the career that they stay in for a long period of time through
Yeah.
that process where they're, working different jobs and then they're like, oh, I kind of like this. And then they end up learning things along the way. And then somehow their path sort of deviates into this new thing. I do see we have some new people in the chat. We have Nikos. Nikos, I was actually on his podcast. It was the first time I ever did a podcast. So that was really cool. And then we have David. Hello, David. And Sebastian is finally joining us live. I want to know, if you're in the chat right now, did you go like the traditional route? Probably there's a lot of developers in the chat. Did you go the traditional route? Did you know you wanted to be a developer since you were 11 or, since high school, and then you went into college and then you became a developer finally? Or did you kind of do some other crazy stuff and then decide, okay, I want to be a developer now? Please let us know. We'd love to hear from you as well. But yeah, I think it's really cool because I also taught English, and I feel like that did teach me a lot of different things, and led me to where I am today as well. Like just these sort of unrelated paths can kind of all lead together.
But in high school, were you already thinking to become a developer? Were there like a set of courses that you liked and you thought like, wow, that's what I want?
No. In high school, I don't know. I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do. My favorite classes were, I really liked geometry. And we had an engineering class, but it wasn't like developer software engineering type of engineering. It was like, oh, let's make some bridges and use AutoCAD and stuff. I really liked that class because the teacher was really cool. So
it's all about the teacher, right?
It's all about the teacher for me. Like if I have a good teacher, I'll really like the class. Like I liked chemistry for 1 year because the teacher was so good. So, but in high school, I honestly had no idea what I wanted to do. And even when I graduated, like the reason why I studied business in university is because I had no idea what I wanted to do. And that's what people do. They study business when they don't want to, or when they don't know what to do. At least that's how it is in the US, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Funny. Well, probably everyone says it about the part that they studied, and they think like, okay, I just studied this because my parents told me to do, and I just did it. But getting back to the teachers, I think it's very interesting because in some regards, if we put it right now to the concept of all the companies and where you are, it's also a lot about people and the product, right? It would be a bit of a challenge if you didn't like the people and the product. So that's what a big driver for most people to stay at their workplace, because they love their colleagues, they love their teammates, they love just their boss. It's just, yeah, it's just nice. It's healthy and challenging in some way.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I do see Sebastian went from EMS to healthcare research, and I think those are emojis. I don't know why I can't see the emojis. And then you got into tech, but yeah, that is a crazy transition though from healthcare to tech.
Yeah.
But I'm always interested in like health tech. What is it called? Biotech or something, or is it just health tech? I think that's a really cool industry. Like people working on technology that actually improves people's well-being in their lives and saves people and everything. I always thought that was something really interesting. But I don't have any background in that. But
me neither. But I love reading about biohacks.
yes, me too. I'm obsessed recently with like health maxing and all of that kind of
Awesome. Then
stuff.
you should watch the documentary that are bringing up so many conversations with Brian Johnson. Probably,
Yes,
yeah, great.
I love Brian Johnson. I know that he's controversial and people, I think some people think that he's a scammer or something. Maybe he is a scammer. I don't know for sure, but you know, I think his videos are good. And I think that the stuff he's talking about makes sense and probably is helping people more than it's hurting people. So even if he is a scammer, I think he's a cool
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
We do have David here. He said when he was young. Oh, so he's the 11-year-old that knew he loved computers. Let's see. He wanted to build and fix computers. He was an IT guy very early, but it wasn't until I got out of college that I thought about going down the developer course. I always wanted to do something with computers. I love that for you, David. I think it's so cool and like so mysterious almost when I see people that have always known kind of what they want to do. And I'm like, wow, how do you do that?
You know, when I read this comment from David, I'm thinking like, I actually lied. When I was a kid, I always said that when I grow up, I'm going to do computering just like my dad. And the idea that I saw what my dad was doing, he was sometimes playing the games. And I thought, because I was 5 years old, I thought that he was doing something and so so crazy. So I would say this as a kid, when I grow up, I'm going to be computering like my dad. Well, technically, I am computering.
Okay, actually, that's very valid. And that made me think of when I was in high school. Like this is embarrassing, so it's kind of like cringe. But I wanted to be like an influencer when I was in high school. I'm like, maybe I can just post pictures on Instagram and make money doing that. So. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I am doing some level of influencing, tech fluencing. Is that a thing? How many pieces of candy would I take? What do you mean? What kind of candy? Okay, please give us more information on this. If you're saying how many pieces of candy could I possibly eat in one sitting, I need to know the type of candy because that really depends on the type of candy. But yeah, speaking of pieces, I do really want to know, you did mention that like what's really important to you is working in a company where you really believe in the product and you work with people that you genuinely like to be around, because literally you're around them all day, every day, right? So if you didn't like them, then that would be a major problem. But how did you actually find out about pieces and kind of get interested in it in the first place?
Well, to be honest, Smith, our CEO, he found me through LinkedIn, and it was the first time how I got to know about pieces. We had a fantastic first conversation, and then the set of interviews with him and Savo. So I don't know, that just felt right. It was a lot about what they were looking for and the kind of person they're looking for. They told a lot about the product. And what I saw after talking to both of them, it was the feeling that they actually cared about the result and the whole culture in the companies, that people are very focused on getting the job done in the most productive way. And I like that because I sometimes think that at least I'm trying to be that kind of person who tries to get the job done in the most efficient way. So it just felt right. And that's how I got to know about pieces. I couldn't get to learn about them earlier just because pieces is like working mostly for developers. So I'm not in that segment. I was so much in my marketing bubble that I only felt how much I was in my marketing bubble only when I joined Pieces, because it was completely different people, completely different audience to whom you speak to. Everyone here is was completely different again background than I was or my previous co-workers were. So it was very interesting. Yeah, very refreshing.
Yeah. So previously, did you not work in like a dev tool company, or was it a different kind of company?
I worked for the outsource company with developers.
Uh-huh.
So we were this was actually my first job. So we were working on multiple projects. I was helping them to write some technical documentation, but it was, yeah, like with any outsource company, you get multiple projects running at the same time. So it's not like I could deep dive into all the information at once, right? It would be just something to cover up, generally to write some landing page or to write some blog post, or I don't know, do some email campaign, because yes, 5 or 6 years ago, you couldn't automate that part. So you needed really to spend endless amount of time thinking. Now it's far easier because of all the AI tools. You don't spend so much time on drafting things and then send in for everyone in the open space and just get it done faster. So this was my it was my initial, well, my first work in the like technical space, I would say.
Oh, okay. I do have a question for you, a
Yeah.
controversial question. But first, we have to answer Sebastian's question. How much chocolate could you eat in one sitting? So let's say that the chocolate is like a normal size. I think the bars are like this big.
Oh,
Um,
I'm
how
not the
much
right
could you
person
eat?
to answer that, because I really love chocolate. I
Sounds like
really,
you're the right person to answer that then.
yeah, but that's the thing. I can really eat the whole cake in one sitting. So
Oh my
that,
God.
especially if I'm upset, I'm an emotional eater.
Yeah, I definitely I feel you on that. I don't know if I could eat a whole cake too, but I don't know if I could eat like many chocolate bars because chocolate is so dense. It's different than cake. I don't know. I feel like I could eat maybe three and then I would probably start feeling sick.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, maybe the same. Two,
probably
three,
three.
but it depends also how much sugar is it, because it depends on what kind of chocolate. Sometimes they make it so sugary that you cannot eat more than one, but sometimes
Yes.
it's very light, so you can go for.
Yeah. Please respond. Anybody in the chat, like how much chocolate could you eat? Like say it's like the size of an iPhone. How many of these could you eat in one sitting? Like no breaks. You can have water and stuff, but you'd have to keep eating the chocolate. We'll see. And I see Richard is here. Richard's actually at a tech conference right now. So he is making an appearance in a live stream while he is at a tech conference in real life. He told me today that he got a stuffed iguana. So congratulations. I always do think that swag is the most important thing. Okay, but my controversial question is that so now AI is the thing, right? People are
Right.
using AI to write stuff. Like you said before, you'd have to write the newsletter and all of these things, and you'd have to spend a lot of time writing it and thinking about it and maybe coming up with ideas. So even the ideas you had to come up with yourself. Now you could
Right.
just open up an AI tool, like you can open up Pieces or ChatGPT or whatever, Claude. I guess people like Claude now. It's like going back and forth between ChatGPT and Claude. But you just open it up and you're like, hey, I sort of have this idea. Can you give me more ideas? And you just use AI as like an idea generator for newsletters or whatever it is. And then you can actually go and take that idea and be like, all right, write an entire article about this idea
Yeah.
or write an outline about it. And here's the tone that I want you to use. But
Yeah.
in the past, you had to spend so much time. What are your thoughts on sort of this transition? Like, as somebody who reads a lot of articles and newsletters and things,
Right.
do you like what's happening personally, or do you feel like, some people, they're like, oh, all the content is AI generated
Yeah.
now, even stuff that's like number one on Google even could be AI generated.
Yeah.
What are
Well,
your thoughts on that?
that's a very good question, to be honest, because I think it can go two ways. I personally don't like using AI for ideas generation, because imagine there are like hundreds, millions of marketers who are having ideas generated then we all have the same 1 million ideas and 1 million exactly the same marketing materials. And it also makes me feel a little bit mindless in that regard. And it takes basically this creativity part from my job. So I prefer not to use the ideas for like idea generation. I can use the AI like to improve some parts of the text, or like give more like a structured format, because that it saves a lot of time when you're editing something. I do like though AI to use more from the perspective of solving the pain points of the user. So it's really helpful when it comes down to research and keeping on asking different questions if you're stuck a little bit on how to save the pain point of a user, because eventually you need to target the product in a certain way so that the right audience understands you and catches you and sees, whoa, this is the value. And there are some parts that we don't see. Plus, it helps to scrape lots of information all over the web, and especially when it comes down to competitors. So I love that for. So this is a positive part. The negative part, if we speak very generally, I think we are using it way too much, as I said, for idea generation. Okay, you can use it for some presentation perhaps, but if you use it mindlessly, just ongoingly, that's you get sort of in a loop of repetition. And I don't know if this is technically correct to say, but since I'm working in SEO, there before this whole AI boom, there was also a certain pattern of articles to get into top 1, top 5. You needed to be you needed to follow a certain structure, a certain format of the article, right, to be the best, to get the best traffic. So you would end up eventually tons of pages being exactly the same, but a bit changed. So one writer would rewrite another writer, another writer would rewrite that writer, and so the whole original idea would be lost. So if
Oh.
so, this is the side. Okay, so why are we using then AI after all? Just again to be in the same loop of just repetition, or do we actually want to get out of that and make our life easier and probably use it for something more than that? So that would be my answer.
That's a good answer. Yeah, I think there's definitely pros and cons. But while you were talking about like how even without AI, people were sort of copying the structure and the
Right.
formula to get to number one, I thought of prior to AI, I feel like maybe more people were willing to like plagiarize people,
Yeah.
and maybe now it could be less because people just can use AI to make their own thing,
Yeah.
or change it at least
Yeah. Well, there's
mostly.
been a lot. Yeah. There's been a lot like a discussion going on in the SEO community about generated content, and Google recently added their documentation about AI content. So again, it all comes down to the part, as long as the content is helpful to the user, insightful, and satisfies their search intent, meaning if you're Googling for, I don't know, best puppy food, you want to find out about best puppy food, right? But not something, I don't know, building houses on the road, right? So that should be relevant. And in the context of AI, if you're looking for AI development tools, you need to find you actually want to find the AI development tools, not the AI tools about everything or AI tools about writing. You want specifically about development, because there is a very, very high chance that you're a developer, and probably you need a tool that helps you, I don't know, to maybe highlight something when there is a bug in the code, or I don't know, to share your code snippets or just your workspace with your colleagues, or even with your teammates if you're just a freelancer. So that's the part.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do see we have a bunch of new people. I don't know if you saw those people down there, but Henry is here. Henry is a huge Pieces user. So Henry is like our unofficial, official Pieces moderator, support person in Discord. He's helping people all the time. So shout out to you,
Hey,
Henry. And then Zoe is here. Zoe is amazing and was at the community sync last week. So that was cool.
cool.
And
Nice
then
to
we
meet
have
you.
Shivai here. Shivai used to work at Pieces as a developer advocate, and he is also obsessed with Pieces and in the Discord all the time. So hello, Shivai. Welcome.
Thank you guys for joining.
Yeah, I'm glad to see everyone here. I do see LinkedIn user. So sorry, LinkedIn user, I can't see your name, but but LinkedIn user said, in high school, I got interested in web design because my friends who were older than me had already started studying computer programming in college. I ended up getting a degree in IT systems administration since my college didn't offer any web development classes. For my career, I ended up back in web development and self-taught. That is cool. Yeah. So you were inspired by everyone around you, basically. That kind of reminds me of like when I was in high school, I would I would watch a new TV drama or something. For example, like Grey's Anatomy or this show called Bones that I watched a while ago. And while I was watching it, it was just, I would get like so into it that I'm like, maybe I want to be a surgeon. Like, oh, maybe I want to be like an anthropologist. I don't know if anyone else has had that happen to them when binge watching shows, but I guess if everybody is around you, everyone around you is into something, the same phenomenon might happen where it's like, well, I want to do it too and be part of the club. Oh, I do see a question, by the way. First, Sebastian started using Pieces. So that is amazing.
Yeah.
Definitely reach out to us if you need help using Pieces, because I know, sometimes it's confusing and there's a lot of features. So definitely don't be afraid to chat in the Discord and ask questions. And then, all right, we got a question. So
that's a good one.
Hannah would love to know if Pieces helps you with your job as head of SEO. And what is your ideal workflow of using Pieces in your day-to-day tasks? So good question, Shivai. We wanted to talk about this. So
yes, that's actually a very good one. I would say that I use Pieces at this moment as mainly my AI assistant. So just to memorize all the projects that I'm working on, because there are tons of activities and initiatives that we are having. So it helps me to recap of everything that's just ongoing, from starting from meetings and ending up with all the Google Docs, all the presentations, all the stuff that I would have originally in my Google Drive, which I still do, but it's a bit more easier for me to have it all in Pieces. So for that, Pieces helps me a lot, but I don't think as a marketer yet I'm using it to my full capacity, but I do want to start to do a little bit of vibe coding. I got, when I say this vibe coding, I immediately start judging myself because I'm not a developer, guys. So I'm sorry that I use this word. And I know there is a whole debate about this vibe coding. So please don't judge me as much as I judge myself. But there are parts of my life as a SEO specialist and as a marketer that I can automate. For example, building internal links, fixing some errors that take tons of time just to manually to fix, or scrape the websites and just get more like information about the keywords list people are ranking for at this moment. And I want to play around a bit with vibe coding to see if I can actually automate some parts of my job. And for that, Pieces is going to be a fantastic app for me. I've talked with some people who tried to do that without technical background. So that gave me a little bit of confidence. So, hey, maybe I can actually also try to do that, because I'm not aiming to win the Best Developer Award, but there are definitely some parts that I want to make it easier for myself and for the team, and also more productive for the company. So that's I'm probably gonna start with Courseware, and considering that we have integration with Courseware, Pieces is gonna be a fantastic memory tool for me. Yeah, that's I hope that's a fair enough answer, and that would be my first step into that.
I do think that's a good answer and very relevant. I just sent a link to the How to Vibe Code Responsibly talk from the Pieces AI Productivity Summit. It's pretty relevant to that because Roselle was talking about using MCP, and I think she was talking about Cursor in there. I'm almost positive she mentioned Cursor and Goose and everything. Yeah, you could
Yep.
Right. You could literally use pieces MCP inside of Cursor, and you as an SEO non-developer person, you could go and like vibe code some stuff into existence and get somebody to, you know, check it over. If you have any problems, you can, I guess, ask pieces or ask Cursor. Because Cursor has like an agent mode, right? So you can just get it to do stuff for you. So that is really cool. I do agree. Vibe coding is very common now. I do think vibe coding is kind of the future, the way things are going. Maybe not in the normal definition of it, but
for now, I see that there are so many people that are doing that. I even had a call with a couple of people who are in the marketing space, or they're product marketers, and they're all similarly trying to build the agentic flow of some of the jobs that they are doing. Yes, it doesn't happen overnight, so it's not like they decided, okay, now I'm going to build the app by tomorrow. They spent decent enough of research and trying, but it worked for them. And one of them actually reached out to me asking for the solution similarly to Pieces, just to see if that's going to give them like more like an OS layer to the stuff that they've been working on before. So that's something positive. It gives me confidence in our product, but also challenges me to, just to try it myself, because probably I can do that too.
Yeah, I think if you try yourself, then when you're actually writing things or even reviewing other people's things and it's related to coding or vibe coding or whatever it is, then you'll have sort of a little bit more background knowledge when it comes to that. And I think when we're doing stuff that we're not really familiar with and we're kind of thrown into these situations, you can end up picking up a lot of information and sort of subconsciously, and you don't even know that you're learning a lot of new things along the way, but who knows, maybe you'll be like a 10x dev at the end of all of this.
Maybe.
I do see Krishna is here, so welcome, Krishna. Krishna is one of those 11-year-old developers that has been coding since he was born. I think, Krishna, are you like 14 now? He is a better developer than everyone in the chat, and he's only 14. It's insane. So, Krishna, please tell us how old you are.
But ahead.
Brent said, I think everyone stopped using the term prompt engineering already. Switched to YouTube, so I'm not LinkedIn user. Oh, that was you, Brent.
Oh, hey, LinkedIn user. Thank you, Brent. That's cool.
Yeah, I haven't been hearing people talk about prompt engineering already. I think that prompt engineering, this is my opinion, is kind of becoming less and less important, because once AI has the ability to understand a lot of context and sort of make assumptions, like, have you ever used DeepSeek or any kind of thinking mode? I think like Grok has it, where you can actually see how the LLM is thinking. Like, once LLMs improve, their thinking, I guess, gets a little bit more human. So you can say stuff that has almost no context and it probably knows what you're talking about. So people don't need to rely on like super nice prompts anymore, at least not to the same degree as before. So I feel like, prompt engineering is not going to be as important in the future. I don't know if you've noticed that, like, from what you're doing with writing articles and, and AI and
better trained.
Is it better now?
I think so. Prompting? Yeah, because you don't need to, repeat the same question of what you actually want, or give a prompt multiple times, but just in different wording. But it gets you faster and more accurately to your initial requirements. And I think if you have, even for ChatGPT, even if you have like your memory turned on for certain workflows, it gets already your tone, style, your pain points, and what you're looking for. So and if you're using it like we would use it for sometimes for the copies in a combination with Pieces, it gets all the information about Pieces and how the product operates, so that it knows how I want to position the product, who is reading, based on information that I put, based on just the reviews that people write, what our just that.
Yeah, there's so much more context now, I think. We do have a question here from Shivai. He said that Cole used to use SEMrush for keyword trends and put it in a spreadsheet. Do you think AI agents can now automate and enhance this to understand SEO trends for suggesting blog topics? I don't know. How do you find, because I know like we have these blog meetings, right? Every month.
Right.
And then there's the spreadsheet with a bunch of ideas that Hannah somehow comes out of her mind and it's in the spreadsheet. But do these topics come from like you're looking at all these keywords somewhere and
Yeah.
you find them and then
Yeah.
they get in the spreadsheet? What's the
Yeah.
process
So the
behind this?
process, well, first of all, Shivai, thank you so much for the question. The process looks like, yes, we're looking for the keywords. So we're looking at what people write. We start with the websites in the AI niche. So, or the market leaders, right? So we see what they're writing about. We correlate with what our product is popular for, or what we want to be popular for. So obviously developer space, AI space, everything related to long-term memory. So that's how we prioritize which keywords go first. Initially, it was just the full developer scape, but it was good at the beginning. At this moment, we want to make sure that for the keywords that we're ranking, we also get stronger outcome. And the stronger outcome, in especially right now when the whole industry, SEO industry, I mean, is shaking. So when visibility is becoming less of the factor, but more of the factor becomes how many people signed up, how many people are mentioning you, how many citations you get in ChatGPT, Perplexity, other AI tools. So we try to balance out between general scope, but also have a primary scope on the keywords that we are targeting for. And then speaking of the SEO trends, maybe just trends you mean in general, if we speak about the pieces in this context, trends, it's very hard to predict. It's something that exists over a certain period of time. So 1 to 3 days, a week, up to a month. If you start writing about the trends, I don't know, 6 months after it's gone, just, hey, do you know what is MCP right now? If someone's going to write, it's going to be a bit irrelevant than, let's say, it was 3 months ago, right? Because then it was a hot topic. So you need to balance out to be adaptable and also write, okay, how is this relevant to the product? So if we are writing from pieces, just saying someone what is MCP, okay, so what's next? We told the people what is MCP, and then they're just going to leave the page. No, there should be some kind of a hook. Do we implement MCP? Okay, if we implement MCP, that sort of puts us a bit higher than the rest of the tools that are trying for the same stuff. So that's how we get a balance, a lot data supported, a lot of the trends, and just also what developers think and what they want. Developer community is very specific, so you cannot sell to the developer. I learned that the hard way. So that's also a fun part, which I can try share later. So that would be it for now. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Ellie, I think you're muted.
Oh, I said, hopefully that answers your question, Shivai. I think that was a really good answer. It is very complicated, and yes, it's hard to sell to developers. Developers are very suspicious, I think, too. They're like, I'm being sold to, get away from me.
Yes.
And they're like, why are you selling to me? Are you trying to do something bad or something? Like, they're just it's an interesting group of people, but that's what makes them very fun and funny. We do have Greenwich here. So Greenwich said meow. Greenwich loves cats as well. And meow. Greenwich did say, because we have been talking about this in the community sync and just in Discord, we had a discussion about it earlier. So he said, are we getting the featured project page on the Pieces website? So what he's talking about is like that use case example page that we were talking about.
I honestly think about it every day, Granish. I'm not gonna lie. I'm thinking about it every day, and then how it happens. Some other priorities come up, and then you need to postpone. But I think we want to we have all the plans. We have the draft to make things live. I hope and I plan that we're going to get that soon. Probably we need maybe more help with the community, and we can catch with Ellie how we make things faster, because we had a pretty positive reach after that idea. So I think that would be really useful to do.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool to just showcase all the community use cases, how they're using pieces and how it's helping them. I think it's really cool. And people seem to be very interested in that. And of course, like the chance to get featured and win some swag and everything.
But that's also cool for the developers, because they can also, I don't know if you guys, for example, sometimes such cases, they help in the job search. So the better portfolio you have, like the more mentions you have, it's also part of where you develop your personal brand, and people can actually see how you're building stuff. So that's a win-win.
Yeah, and to kind of wrap up the feature project page discussion, I will not be the designer. I am not very good designer, but we do have some really good designers, so they will do that. I will not do that. Lauren and Ty are amazing, and they're going to design it like a million times better than me. Yeah, some of my designs are extremely questionable if you've seen them, and most of them are just, if I post a graphic on my own social media, it's probably like from Canva, and I just change the colors or something. So anyways, Lauren is there. Lauren is at pieces. But yep, Lauren is behind a lot of the designs, especially like the social media graphics and everything, and thumbnails and blog thumbnails. She does all of that stuff. So she is so amazing. And Ty is behind all of the amazing website design and cool things going on behind the scenes there. We have a lot of questions. Okay. So we are gonna answer these questions, and then we're probably gonna start wrapping this up. So Rael said, I have a question. This is a really good question, actually. What has changed in SEO since the introduction of AI?
Well, good question. That's a good question. Short answer, everything. So every other old tactics that were working before, they still kind of work. Technically, they work. But at the same time, they do not, because there is this whole AI boom. And if you're trying to keep up with the trends and to see what's actually working, and if we consider the US market and the global market in general, then all the old tactics are a bit outdated. They can work to a certain extent, but what has changed is that how people are looking for the information. So they're definitely using more ChatGPT, as this is more of the primary library of all the sources, right? So you can, instead of just typing the keywords, you can get more extended answers. Though there are some case studies that show that still Google search is dominating the general search by more than 3 million searches, which is an insane amount. And ChatGPT is maybe like 10% of all those searches. So it's a debatable question if this is all like data supported and Google is still the dominant part of all the search and all the techniques are working as they used to be, or it's more about the user experience. Perhaps it's more about the user experience, because let's be honest, it's much easier and better to type something in ChatGPT instead of typing it in Google. The other part that worked from the SEO side, let's call it that way, all the KPIs, OKRs, the results, we call them. So if before that would be a lot about impressions, clicks, visibility, right? The page, if it's top 1, top 10, which is still valid. There are more things that people are trying to create, considering all the AI boom. So how many times you were mentioned in ChatGPT, how our LLMs are looking at your website, like more like NLP based. Do you actually satisfy the search intent? So there are more metrics that are showing up. Well, not showing up, but people are thinking of them, how to put them out. But there is only a small part of this evolution of SEO industry that just coming up more and more. Right now, people just started thinking of more like how to capture these AI overviews that you can get and how it's going to be measured for attribution models. But so far, this has been the biggest step for all the reporting. I can talk nonstop. So let's wrap that up.
I have one follow-up question about
Yeah.
that though. Is there any AI tool that actually exists that you could, for example, like if you have a blog post or something and you give it all of the information to do with that blog post, like the title and everything, can it predict like how it's going to rank and how it's going to do? Is there some sort of AI tool that does that? Because I know there's some AI tools for like social media. You can give them like a tweet or something, and it'll say like whether it's gonna do well and like predict the amount of likes maybe it will get based on like your previous tweets. But I'm wondering, like for SEO, is there something like that that can predict the success?
I think with the right prompt, you can also do it in the Chat GPT. But if we start looking at the app tool level, then I would think that maybe not in regards of like probability, because some tools, SEO tools, they are positioning themselves as the tools that can generate a copy that's gonna get into top 10 results. So you are assuming that they are calculating the amount of keywords, the semantics that is used out there, what should be included. And for that, I would probably go with Right Sonic. This is a company that was doing very well on Product Hunt. They're quite affordable. So, and I liked them. It looks like they are the closest ones to the one I've tested recently. They give a decent keyword list. And for example, if you are the business owner or you just have your website and you don't need to find an SEO specialist, this is super helpful because it gives you so much of information that you would probably gather yourself for a very long time. And if you're an SEO specialist and you just want to observe, change, track, it can also be a good way to do, especially if you're optimizing content.
Okay, so there are some tools, but maybe I feel like Hannah needs to vibe code the ideal SEO tool that can predict the future and make everything she writes go viral.
Probably.
Probably. Who wants to team up? Let's start a SEO business. Okay, we have two more questions, I think, both from Shavai. Let's see. We'll try to bang them out really fast. So the first one is this is a really good question. I haven't, maybe I did think about this before, but anyway, he said, this is related to product positioning and the messaging we put on the official Pieces website. Does SEO play a role when defining the product manifesto messaging that is on the website?
That's a good question. I don't know in terms of SEO, if SEO defines what the product messaging is, because from my experience, I can say that it solely depends on the company and what roles people have in the company. But I can say with 100% guarantee, SEO has a pivotal role into defining that. I don't know how much I can share about our brand positioning, but yet. But I can share briefly on some of the projects that I'm working at the moment. So, for example, how the brand positioning works for Pieces. So let's say if I were supposedly to do the brand positioning strategy, I would immediately calculate, okay, what's going to happen if we change the name or we do slightly change the name of Pieces with all the Pieces for developers or without for developers part, how that's one going to impact the product, how it's going to impact the traffic and the website. In that kind regard, I can calculate the amount of clicks, impressions, how much we're going to go down with traffic or hypothetically up over time if that change is about to happen. It's also in my responsibility to articulate and to explain what are the risks, how to reduce those risks, and also build up a transition plan so that those risks are not so high, as well as come up with the positioning that can get us better. So in that regard, SEO plays a pivotal role. The other part is I do think that product positioning plays in the whole content part, and SEO is a part of the whole content framing. So quite often happens when people are trying to put the features together with the brand name, and then they end up with name of the product feature, name of the product feature, name of the project feature, and optimized for the keyword. So that would end up with a lot of friction. How we do it at Pieces? As an example, at Pieces we have three main features: Pieces Copilot, Pieces for Pieces Drive, and Pieces LTM. Right? As a person who lands on the feature page, Pieces Copilot, for example, right? They try to Google in the search Copilot for developers. They end up on Pieces Copilot feature. They immediately think, "Wow, that's insane! I want that. That's what I need. I was looking for it." Then they go on the homepage, because this is where the most of the conversions are happening, and let's presumably think that Pieces for Developers positions itself as something completely different than a Copilot, or then it would create a bit of the confusion. So that's the part where brand positioning is super important. How do we distinguish changes between between the features when you name Pieces Copilot as a feature, and when you have Pieces for Developers as a whole brand, and whereas Pieces Copilot is the part of Pieces for Developers, to put it shortly like this.
Yeah, I feel like there are a lot of complicated things going on with naming and everything, but I guess a lot of those decisions, at least from my perspective, do come from the top. They're like, all right, we're changing the name to this, and then like you said, I guess it would be your responsibility to be like,
yeah,
that might be a cool idea. By the way.
Yeah.
So
everything should be data supported in that regard. When the company is growing, when the company is trying to evaluate in all the risks. So all those decisions, they come with evaluating all the possible risks in different scenarios that we can take, and what is the possible outcome of those scenarios. So it's not like we woke up today and decided, okay, let's change everything. No, it's been a path to thinking why we make this why we make this change, why we choose this direction.
Yeah, data-driven decisions. I think that is definitely the way to go, because sometimes people just want to rename things or do things just because it sounds cool, and I guess that's not always the best thing to do. We do have some more questions. Okay, Shivai, you have to stop asking questions. These are the final questions. We're going to answer them.
The exam?
Hopefully. He said that sorry, he's asking so many questions because he's just really interested in this topic. Okay. So we love that. Thank you for asking the questions. We will answer them for you. We're not going to run out of here without answering. So this is another really good question. Like, you guys are coming up with really nice questions. So how is the proliferation of such a large number of AI generated blogs affecting SEO rankings? Very good question. I'm sure there is some kind of thing going on with a bunch of crazy AI, like obviously AI generated blogs. Sometimes you search and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, Shivai, that's a very deep question. Unfortunately, I don't know the whole statistics to that, but I can try to find it out for you. Maybe there are already a couple of case studies from like very big SEO leaders, because they've been launching a lot of this SEO states of 2025 and how AI is reshaping the whole blogging, all the whole SEO industry, but based on some, not based on just Google documentation, just to put it that way, and just on what people are looking for in the moment. I would say it depends if you're meeting the search intent. So even if you used AI generated content, how much you put the human part into that? Has it been, I don't know, 70%, let's say AI generated, but 30% it was your ideas, your research, your input, all the data that you have from the company, editing. So combination of all those factors, and how many people actually read that part. If they read it, obviously automatically up in the search, more shares. in that case, you can consider that as a success. But if it's just I don't know, programmatically generated without reviewing, without any human in the loop, with all the old search queries that people used to optimize before, right? If they didn't know about anything like why is it important or what is the benefit of AI tools, then there is a high chance no one's going to read that because, yeah, it's just not relevant at this moment, right? And probably if someone is actually looking for that, they are not actually looking for this example pieces for developers because there are more advanced users to that or students who want to learn a bit more about developing.
All right. Shivai said, as a startup business owner, you need to make data-driven decisions. That's why I feel SEO is such an important thing of making a successful business. Identifying the ideal customer profile. Definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, Shivai is interviewing Hanna here. Greenwich said that you should open up a course teaching SEO. Good thought. There's a side hustle for Hanna. Create a how-to SEO, like a 10x SEOer.
Thank you. I'm very flattered by that. Yeah, I think there are so many fantastic courses out there. Those people are way beyond of me at this stage, and I'm learning from them ongoingly. But thank you.
So do you actually like study SEO outside of work and
Well, not study, but read. Yeah, every day it's just reading a little bit because there is always one person who tests experiments all the time. They share their cases on LinkedIn, so it's sort of a routine. You wake up, you drink coffee first, you have breakfast,
you read about SEO.
Yeah, then you read, and then there are always these states of SEO coming up. Different things that are happening, so it's impossible not to keep an eye on that because you work in that field, and it is all affecting your job and ultimately the business. So it's important to keep an eye on that.
All right, there is one final question. I will let Hanna answer it, but it is a really interesting question. So it says, as someone who looks after SEO, how do you keep up with all the algorithm changes, on Google and other tech giant websites? I'm really curious about this as well because, I do social media pieces, and sometimes the algorithm changes, especially if you're active on X, Twitter, whatever. The algorithm changes a lot. And if you're trying to create content there, like it's hard to keep up with the changes and like what works anymore. So how do you actually keep up with those changes? Do you read about it in the morning after your coffee and people report like these are the SEO changes happening? Or do you just notice them organically and you're like, okay, something has changed, but I don't know what it is?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I just read a lot. I just really read a lot.
Read a lot. SEO update.
Yeah, I just read a lot. That's just it. There is no like secret juice to success. I just read a lot. Sometimes work on Sundays. Yeah.
Wow. Hanna is the ultimate head of SEO, SEO grinder student. I think you're the epitome of that. There's a saying, can someone remember it for me? It's like eternal student or something like that. Like if you want to be successful, you have to be a student forever or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? There's
I know what you talk. I don't remember that quote, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's a quote. It's a thing. I never remember sayings or quotes, but somebody knows it. Somebody should send it in the chat so we
can subconsciously.
Yeah, the eternal student. That's what I'm going to call it right now, though. But I really appreciate all of your answers. Somebody was asking like how to use pieces in VS Code without Pieces OS. So you need Pieces OS to use pieces in VS Code. I'm sorry, very sorry, but that is just the way it is. Because if you have Pieces OS, then you can't access your long-term memories. So, womp womp. Maybe we'll release it independently someday, but not right now. So, hopefully you still use it and try it.
Please do.
Shivai said, this was a wonderful SEO masterclass. I agree. You shared a lot of deep knowledge on SEO that I did not know about before this chat. So I'm excited to learn stuff. And it looks like Shivai learned a lot of stuff too. Maybe Shivai's next job will be SEO. Are you going to get into SEO? Somebody wants you to make a full lecture on SEO.
Yeah, we can organize that.
We'll start a series. Eternal Scholar. Yes, I think you're right, Angelos. Angelos popping in for the one message to clarify everything. Welcome to the end of the live stream and correcting us on our quotes. So yes, Hanna is the Eternal Scholar. I hope to live up to Hannah's studying.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. How do you determine a good SEO? I feel like we talked about this in the entire time, but do you have like a very quick answer for this last question?
Very quick answer? Yes. How do you determine a good SEO? If people find you.
That's a good one. Are you number one on Google? Do you have multiple pages on the first page of Google when you search for your word? Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good one. All right. I missed your message 15 minutes ago. Oh no. I'm very sorry about that. Now I have to go find it. I'm going to find it after this.
That's the worst. When someone says something funny and then people just miss it out.
Oh no, I don't see it anywhere. I'm convinced your message did not send because I would have remembered you. I have been looking at these messages very intently the entire time. See, I'm looking through all of them again. I do not see it. I think Angelos is trolling me now. He's trolling me. But yeah, full SEO lecture next time. Maybe on Hannah's LinkedIn. This is her first stream ever, right? This is the first time. Maybe next time you'll stream on your own LinkedIn. Maybe you'll become an SEO YouTuber and we'll all follow you and learn how to be an SEO king and queen. Anyways, it was great having you, Hanna. I loved hearing about your story and learning about SEO. If anyone has any follow-up questions for Hanna, just send them in the Discord. Somebody please share a Discord link in the chat because I don't have one on my like.
Also, if you never felt like comfortable asking them here, if it's related to pieces or just something else, you can also just drop a message to me or Ellie, and we can reply to them. And I hope it was, I hope it was a good conversation for how we do SEO at pieces. So at least right now, you got some brief ideas that we are here very data-driven.
Yes, very data-driven. That's the key. We want to do things that are proven and thought through. Please appear on Discord. Greenwich wants you to appear.
I will try. But I'm very honest, I'm literally the worst when it comes to all the Discord channels.
I got to get you on a community sync. We have a community sync tomorrow, but I don't know if you want to do 2 streams in a row.
Yeah. We can
but anyway, we'll invite you to a community sync, whether it's tomorrow or next week. And maybe if anyone has any SEO questions, you can ask Hanna there or just in Discord. I found the link. So here it is. If you're not in the community already, go send it in general and be like, here's my blog. What's wrong with the SEO? Anyway, thank you so much, Hanna.
Thank you, Ellie. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. It was nice to talking. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. See you next time. Jack's going to be here next time. So see you there.
See you there. Bye-bye.